So I don't know about you, but when I first started in professional life, I went to a meeting and I learned about ground rules. Did they ever really work for you? They didn't work for me. And as I entered into the field of professional coaching in the mid-90s, I realized we needed to do a bit of an upgrade. Nobody likes being told how to behave, and many of you are probably familiar with the idea of psychological safety. It's a big set of words, really, psychological safety. How do I do that as a manager and a leader? Well, you don't do it. You invite it. You create the conditions for it. You behave differently yourself as a leader and modeling the way you want your team members to behave. Now you might already be seeing a little bit of a clue on what we're talking about today. Teaming agreements are different from ground rules in three really fundamental ways. One, they aren't used to manage in the role of facilitator or leader how people behave. You can't make someone change their behavior. Two, and this is how you accomplish the problem with one, two is that the source of the decisions made to establish a set of agreements by which conduct occurs when the team is together is the team members themselves. And as a result, if you are the leader who is supporting your team to bring it together, or you've hired a team coach who comes in to support your team in coming together, what's very important is that you're not giving them agreements and then asking them to agree. It's the other way around. What is the way of being with each other that will give you full permission to bring all of yourself, to feel you can speak freely, to be available to fully listen to each other and then challenge each other's thinking, which is of course where we get all the creativity we're looking for. So point three, these are not platitudes. These are not all the good things we think about when a team is happy and enthusiastic and fully on board and bought in and feeling supported. Those words are meaningless because we don't know what it looks like. Teaming agreements are visible, observable, and they are the kinds of things that any member of a team can say, hey, you know what? We agreed we'd always start a meeting with some time to connect with each other, and we haven't been doing it. Do you notice how we're kind of at each other's throat? When we're doing team coaching from inviteCHANGE, we often talk about how does a team find its way to be sovereign, meaning they're self-managing, they're fostering their own autonomy. Team coaching is the means by which that happens, and the first question we always ask a team is, what brought you here? I have a team of leaders who are struggling with some pretty serious diversity, equity, and inclusion challenges on their team. And they really were starting to get to the point where nobody was talking. Zero psychological safety. And we were asked to come in to see if we could support them in uncovering what was really in the way. And there was a lot of hurt. There was a need for there to be some deep listening and some healing. Both sides of the situation were misunderstanding and misinterpreting what was going on, and they were not available to really hear each other. So when I asked the question, what brought you here? The answers I got were, it was on my schedule. Somebody put it on my calendar. My boss told me I had to be here. Those are pretty good signals that we don't have any psychological safety. So then I said, what is this team expected to deliver? And boy, did we get a mouthful there. In this question answer, they said, oh, at least 12 different things. So now I know I have team members who are not teaming. They don't have a shared purpose. They don't have a reason to be in synergy. So then when I ask the question, and this is the core question to teaming agreements, what is the way you interact with each other? How do you behave with each other to get your work done? Dead silence. They weren't working together. And they didn't like working together because it was competitive. It was siloed. They were unable to see that they had something to offer to each other. they'd actually stopped any level of connection and weren't really thinking about, oh, John over here has experience that I could really use on this project, but I'm not going to talk to him because we're in too much competition for resource and attention from the boss. Yeah, that was the next thing we discovered, that the relationship between the team members and their direct reports was really fractured. All kinds of good reasons why it was happening. There were lots of external influences, big organizational change, a merger and acquisition going on, and we had a racial dilemma inside the team. Turns out there was also a gender dilemma going on. What's important to realize here is that those kinds of external influences and symptoms of breakdown in relationships happen all the time. And the only way out from them is to create the conditions for people for honest self-reflection, to be able to say, you know, when this happens, it doesn't work for me. It has me shut down and want to go away. We used to teach conflict management, but you know what? You can't manage conflict. Conflict just tells you something wants to be attended to. So an effective team coach and a leader who is effective in working with his or her team is someone who is available to ask the questions, what's wanted here? What is important for us to acknowledge has happened? Say, I'm sorry, and say what's for us to learn and move forward differently. Teaming agreements are the move forward differently response. So this team added some really important steps to their teaming agreements. First, they realized that they wanted to spend more time with each other outside of their team meetings, getting to know each other. So one of their teaming agreements was make time for each other to meet at least weekly, and everybody commit to talk to at least 3 different people every single week. That was a big commitment, and it took some time to get there. But they realized if we don't get back in relationship again, all bets are off. Another one that I thought was quite useful, pay attention to your body. When you're feeling your gut crunch or your shoulders crunch, be courageous to ask for a pause and say, what I just heard, it doesn't work for me. Can you say a little more about what you meant? Because that felt hurtful. Yes, that's a high degree of vulnerability. But what we noticed in the discussion as they were constructing these, they said things like, assume good intent. To which the other person said, I don't care about your good intent. You did something that hurt me. And that's right. Good intent isn't enough. We have to be in relationship and learn from each other. So another teaming agreement they put in place was notice when you feel puzzled and ask the person who just spoke to give you a bit more information. When we're working with leaders, a big piece of development is often helping them to notice their judgments, where they're quick to go to a habit, a preference, an assumption, or a bias about a person or a process. Notice the judgment and pause. Just short circuit the quick way in which we make meaning of something and listen a little more deeply, asking questions they don't know the answer to. Same thing with teams. Ask the question that will give you information that solves the puzzle that's interrupted your listening anyway, so you're no longer contributing to the team in an effective way. So here you can see teaming agreements are designed to remove the interference from people tapping into all of their resource and capability on that team. So instead of ground rules, they are what the team designs for itself, for its current stage and state of development, to support them to bring their best work and how to get out of the long jams that we used to call conflict, but are really just indicators that something more is wanted in the deepening of connection with each other. Now, if you want to learn a little more about team coaching, there's a download here for you. What team coaching is and is not. It was a chapter I wrote for a book on the professional practices of coaching. And that book is also available on our website.